Hey guys, and welcome back to another Factorio mod spotlight. I'm Exterminator, and thanks for tuning into this one. Today we're going to go over the AlgaCulture mod. It uses algae to essentially give you more petroleum. And no, it's actually not called AlgaCulture. I thought it was at first, and then I actually read it, and it's AlgaCulture mod. But yeah, so it's very similar to the Burgess process mod that Clonin did, except a little bit different. So essentially how it works is it adds some items to the game and a new process here to get you some light oil is what it finally nets you here. At the very end of the process you get light oil. And you might think, well, what am I going to do with light oil? What you need to do with it at that point is then just have a ton of cracking into petroleum. Okay, so this doesn't actually give you any crude oil, and it doesn't give you petroleum directly, but it does give you light oil to then crack into petroleum. So as for research, there's a couple. There's nutrient paste, which I'll go over in a second, and the algae processing. Okay, so I guess we'll go over the really simple one. The nutrient paste has nothing to do with actually giving you oil. It takes 6 algae, and it's essentially like fish. Down there you see damage minus 50. It essentially heals you. So you can carry some of that around if you'd like. And there's that. So that's pretty straightforward. The rest of this, it adds some new processes. So essentially what this does is, in the end, we have a new tab here. And this is the very end process. We're going to kind of go backwards here. So you get 4 light oil from an algae and some water. Okay. Well, you need to make some algae, and that's what we have here. And this algae is made from water. This uses water a lot. Luckily, water's infinite. And sulfate fertilizer. Okay, so we have water going in, and we're going to make sulfate fertilizer. I might as well power this on. And this takes sulfur as well as stone. Now, stone could potentially be your limiting factor in this process, depending how much you have. But this nets you 2 sulfate fertilizer for 4 stone and a sulfur. So it is much more stone heavy. Stone, theoretically, should be a bit easier to get than just tons of sulfur, depending how your oil does. So we do have sulfur being made here, and the sulfur, as you know, takes 3 petroleum, and you get 2 sulfur. Okay, so this is being made, and now we just pipe this into here, and this will make us some algae. Okay, and really, that's actually the process. It's actually simpler than this. This is unneeded. I thought I needed this. I actually don't. It's actually pretty simple. You just take your sulfur, make this stuff, and then pump this into your, oh, not the chest, into your algae machine, and it will make algae. It makes it pretty quick with water and the fertilizer. It gives you 3, and it takes 2 of this. So essentially, if we just do some math here, which this is where things get complicated, so I might lose you and myself in this, but okay, so this takes a sulfur, and so essentially we can do 2 of these processes for every one of these, right? Because this gives you 2 sulfur. So for 3 petroleum, we can do 2 of these. And this gives you 2 sulfate per. Okay, so for 3 petroleum, we get 4 sulfate fertilizer. Okay, so essentially from one process here, from 3 petroleum gas, we get 4 sulfate fertilizer. And from that, we can do this process 2 times, which nets us 6 algae because it gives us 3 per time. So going back from 3 petroleum, we can get 6 algae. And then this takes 1 algae and some water, and it gives us 4 light oil. So remember, we're getting 6 algae. We can do this process 6 times, essentially, from 3 petroleum gas, and that will give us 24 light oil, because 6 times 4 is 24. So for 3 petroleum, we get 24 light oil, if I did my math correctly. Okay, and that is a net positive, essentially, because we get 24 light oil. And if we look at our cracking process here, for 24 light oil, we can do essentially 8 cracking processes, right? Because 24 divided by 3 is 8. which would give us 16 petroleum gas, which is like a little more than 4 times the amount. So after the cracking process, we essentially are getting 4 times the petroleum back from this that we're using. It is a little lengthy process once you crack it, but I would say it's definitely worth it if you have the room to set this up. And of course, that's not counting any generation you have from your actual refineries. I've turned those off for now to just kind of demonstrate that theoretically this should be going up, as should this. Because we only have 4 crackers here, so this will build up eventually. You can see it's going up. This should be going up as well. And there you go, guys. So it's a neat little mod for someone like me who uses oil constantly and is constantly out. If you're in that type of situation a lot, I would suggest this maybe alongside the Burgess process. I don't know how they would work together or instead of, if you prefer this, but there you go. So a simple little process here, and then instead of actually giving you crude oil, it does give you light oil, which again you can just crack into petroleum. I suppose you could turn it into solid fuel or something if you need that more than petroleum, if that's your situation. And the reason that it doesn't actually give you crude oil or heavy oil, specifically why it doesn't give you heavy oil, is so that you can actually just use your heavy oil like in other stuff. In the end, this is essentially just trying to get you more petroleum, which you usually need the most of. So there you go. That's it, guys. Link down in the description to the mod. It is updated for 0.14. That's what I'm doing this spotlight on, and it seems to work totally fine. So there you go. And actually, I mean, this is not... this takes 1 second, as is this. So this is not a 1-to-1 in terms of how many you need. You can see this building up. So we would actually need several of these to actually let this work constantly without backing up. And then probably the same with this. I think this could be 1-to-1. This is only backing up because this is. But anyway, guys, there you go. Hope that you enjoyed. Hope this was helpful. Definitely suggest checking it out if you do run into oil problems and are interested in this type of thing. But as always, if you have questions, feedback, any mod spotlight suggestions, so on and so forth, leave down in the comments. But until then, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care, guys.